And today, what I want to talk about is the big story. And now, everybody loves a good story, I'm sure of it. Everyone loves a really good novel or movie. You know, the kind that suck you in and seem to transport you to a whole nother world, right? Or they bring you in so close you feel like you know the characters. And then when they die, you really are sad about it, right? Our emotions truly get stirred up with a good story. I think of my favorites, stories like The Lord of the Rings or C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia. One of the most popular story series recently would be like Harry Potter. And I'm sure your favorite story is in your mind right now as I'm talking. But not just in literature, we also have some great stories in television, right? Some of the most well-known shows are going to be ones with this great storyline that carries you from the beginning all the way to the end. And there are even sitcoms who can carry on a great storyline that keep you coming back. And I think of the sitcom Friends. Friends did this really well. Not all sitcoms do this, but Friends did it really well. They kept you gripped with their storyline. Now, much like these, the Bible too contains a dramatic and gripping storyline. Our Creator has not randomly assembled 66 books written by 40 men over the course of 1,500 years. God always was setting a stage, and He had an underlying purpose behind it all. We often make the mistake of thinking the verses in the Bible or the chapters or the books are just pieces of a puzzle thrown in a box, and if you'd like to assemble them, you can. Or if you want to pick one up and look at it, that's fine. But truly, they're pieces of a puzzle that must be seen when all put together. This is called the meta-narrative of the Bible. A meta-narrative is the story that underlies all the other little stories. Recognizing this meta-narrative, the great French Protestant reformer John Calvin called the universe the theater of God. The world and our universe is a stage on which the greatest story ever written plays out. And like some of our favorite stories, God's story is a true story. God's drama has 4 acts: creation, fall, redemption, and restoration. In the first act, God creates the world. By His word, He speaks all things into existence, and it's perfect and beautiful. The apex of His creation is mankind, made in His image, male and female. God marries our first parents and places them in a lush garden to work it, to enjoy it, and they receive a mission from God. Go make the rest of the world look like this garden. All is well, yet danger looms. An enemy found its way into their garden. And this slithering doubter and tempter, the devil, as we know it, is victorious in getting Adam and Eve to sin against their Creator. And here's the tragedy. And so the second act is called the fall. Harmony is gone. Everything is broken. Things that were seen in color start to fade away. Sometimes in our favorite stories, it will look like the villain has won. And sometimes it looks like there's no path to victory. And then we see the hero, right, seemingly defeated, will make a promise to undo what the villain has done. Well, God makes a promise right at this moment to Adam and Eve to undo one day what the serpent had done. This dragon and his effects will one day be defeated. And this is in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. The story of the Bible then takes on a shadowy nature. All of the stories, the kings, the prophets, the priests, the wars, the battles, the marriages, the love, the families, they are all a shadow of the hero to come. At times the odds seem insurmountable. Then we move into the third act, redemption. The third act begins in a small, smelly animal stable in a manger in a town of Bethlehem. A baby boy is born, and it seems he fits the dark figure cast by all those shadows. The boy grows up. This, of course, is Jesus. He becomes exactly what the shadows were pointing to, and he wages war against the dragon, but he dies. The dragon surely thought he had won, once and for all. They brought their best opposition to me, and look, he's dead. But Jesus was perfect and never sinned, so death couldn't hold him in the grave. Our hero gave his life up willingly, not because he deserved to die. He gave it up for those who do deserve death because of sin. Jesus beats death through his death. He undoes what the dragon did. He wins back the right to rule and receives the mission Adam and Eve failed to do. To make the world new again is what Jesus sets out to do. Now we have our fourth and final act, restoration. Though Jesus left, he will be back to finally get rid of death once and for all, and he will restore everything to its intended purpose. When Jesus returns, he said that he will take his people as a bride, and he will cast the wicked away. The bride will be clothed in his righteousness and will live with him forever in the new heavens and new earth. The truth is, relevant to our lives, that we cannot be clothed in his righteousness. We cannot become his bride all in our own power. He must take our sin, and we must be given his righteousness. Much like Jesus, our path to victory is death. We must die to ourselves, die to our pride, die to our dreams, die to our wants, die to our opinions, and we must place our faith and dependence in Jesus. Jesus said, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Acts 10:43, the Apostle Peter said about Jesus, "To him all the prophets bear witness." There's those shadows that were pointing forward. "That everyone who believes in him receives forgiveness of sins through his name." The big story of the Bible is kill the dragon, get the girl. The main point of the whole Bible is that God intended to live in perfect harmony with his creation. And even though tragedy befell his creation, from heaven he came and sought his bride. Jesus kills the dragon who's keeping the girl in her tower locked up. But Jesus kills the dragon and then brings his bride into his kingdom to live happily ever after. Where do you find yourself in God's story? Which side do you find yourself on?